Training camp has officially started in the NFL. Players all over the league are becoming more and more valuable by the day in fantasy football. Today, I'm going to go over some must-draft players in 2019. Hopefully I can help some of you pick the right players and dominate your leagues this year. No fluff, only facts. Let's get right into it. First up is Aaron Jones. Now last week I uploaded my top 15 running back rankings and put Aaron Jones 14th on that list. However, I'm beginning to realize that I may have lowballed Jones. My two main concerns were workload and durability, but so far Jones has looked great in training camp as he's lined up first with the starters for every drill, along with significantly reducing his body fat and gaining muscle to remain at his playing weight. Conversely, teammate RB Jamal Williams has missed multiple consecutive practices with a hamstring injury. Aaron Jones is poised to get the majority of the touches in the Green Bay backfield, especially if Jamal Williams' hamstring injury lingers. Along with this, Green Bay head coach Matt LaFleur is looking to get Aaron Jones more involved as a pass catcher moving forward, and might even line Jones up as a receiver when he's not in the backfield. The opportunity seems like it will present itself for Jones in 2019. He'll just have to produce. That won't be much of an issue for Jones, as taking a deeper dive into his stats shows how truly efficient he is. Right off the bat, Jones' 5.5 yards per carry last season led the entire NFL. Along with gaining yards efficiently, Aaron Jones is possibly the most efficient RB in terms of scoring touchdowns. Inside the 10-yard line, Jones scored a touchdown on a ridiculous 75% of his carries in 2018. 75%! That was by far the highest percentage in the NFL, as Damian Williams was second with 57%. That's an 18% difference. Simply put, Aaron Jones is really good at football. Last year was undoubtedly a down year for the Packers, as they won only 6 games and missed the playoffs. Despite this, Aaron Jones was still the number 13 RB in fantasy football in the 11 games when he was not injured, mainly due to his elite efficiency. In what should be a better year for Green Bay, Aaron Jones is looking to truly break out in his third NFL season and could very well end 2019 as a top 10 running back. For the next RB on this list, I have a pop quiz. There is only one player in the NFL who, over the last 2 seasons, logged over 200 touches with over 5 yards per carry and over 10 yards per reception. Impressive efficiency, right? Can you guess who put up those numbers? Well, I'm about to tell you. The answer is none other than Austin Ekeler. Now, I know that Melvin Gordon might still return to the Chargers, but according to Adam Schefter, talks are not in a good spot in Gordon's contract negotiations. Also, there are multiple reports circulating that Melvin Gordon and his agent have requested a trade. All signs point towards a negative outcome for Melvin Gordon and the Chargers. In Gordon's absence in training camp so far, Austin Ekeler has been playing with the first team, much like what happened last season when Gordon went down with his injury. Now, one concern that people have for Austin Ekeler is the fear that teammate RB Justin Jackson will take over as the starting running back due to the misconception that Austin Ekeler is too small. Let's make one thing clear. Austin Ekeler is not too small. Sure, Justin Jackson is 3 inches taller, but Austin Ekeler is still 6 pounds heavier. Ekeler has a more muscular build, and there is absolutely no reason to believe that Jackson can handle more of a workload than Ekeler. In fact, when both RBs played last season in Melvin Gordon's absence, Austin Ekeler dominated the backfield with 52 touches as opposed to Justin Jackson's 21 touches. That's over 70% for Austin Ekeler and under 30% for Justin Jackson. Ekeler has proven that he can step up and take the bulk of the touches in the backfield when Melvin Gordon isn't there. Oh, and let's not forget, even if Melvin Gordon does rejoin the Chargers, his career has been plagued with knee and hip injuries. Like I said earlier, Ekeler has shown that he can take over and produce as the lead back in the Chargers' high-powered offense. Whether Melvin Gordon is on the Chargers or not in 2019, Austin Ekeler still has standalone value. Last year, Melvin Gordon was the number 8 RB in fantasy football with 12 games played. At the same time, Austin Ekeler was the number 25 running back. The worst-case scenario for Austin Ekeler is being a solid flex option, while his best-case scenario is being a legitimate top 10 running back in 2019. There is absolutely no reason not to take a chance on Austin Ekeler, especially when you consider the fact that he has an average draft position of 79.9 overall, as he is being drafted in the late 7th round as the 34th running back off the board. A chance at a legitimate RB1 late in the 7th round? Sign me up. I would take Austin Eckler 11 times out of 10 at that spot. Next, I want to look at some wide receivers. The first WR that I'll be talking about today is Chris Godwin. Right off the bat, the fact that head coach Bruce Arians said that he doesn't want Chris Godwin to ever come off the field is a great sign. Combined with the fact that Deshaun Jackson and Adam Humphries are no longer on the Buccaneers, there's evidence to suggest that Godwin will handle a significant target share and get 100 catches in 2019, which Arians said he envisions for Godwin. Deshaun Jackson and Adam Humphries combined for 177 targets in 2018, which was about 29% of the team's target share. Now that those targets are up for grabs, Chris Godwin is poised to break out in 2019 under Bruce Arians, who is known for having a pass-heavy offense and taking shots downfield. This also works with Buccaneers QB Jameis Winston, who has led the NFL in air yards percentage-wise in each of the last 3 seasons according to Pro Football Focus. Along with this, Arians was recently quoted saying that Chris Godwin will play the Larry Fitzgerald role in the offense. Larry Fitzgerald was the number 4 wide receiver in fantasy football in 2017, the number 11 WR in 2016, and the number 7 WR in 2015. In all 3 of those seasons, Fitzgerald's coach was none other than Bruce Arians. But wait, there's more. Jameis Winston's completion percentage and passing yards per game have improved every single year he's been in the NFL. Now in his 5th season, Winston is looking to continue this positive trend while Chris Godwin benefits from the improved efficiency and production. All of these facts suggest that Chris Godwin will put up phenomenal numbers and be a star in 2019 fantasy football. I also want to mention Will Fuller. Many people view Will Fuller as nothing more than a boom or bust wide receiver who's never really been on the field, but I disagree. Along with completely recovering from a torn ACL and looking great so far in training camp, Fuller has established himself as one of the fastest and most dangerous deep threats in the NFL. People are concerned that teammate WR Kiki Kute will limit Fuller's fantasy value in 2019, but the truth is that Fuller doesn't necessarily need the ball as much as other wide receivers to produce solid numbers. In games when Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller both played, Fuller averaged 4 receptions, 71 yards, and 1 touchdown. That would give Fuller an average of 17.1 fantasy points per game, which would have been 14th among all wide receivers in 2018, finishing ahead of guys like T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper, and Brandon Cooks. There's no denying that Will Fuller doesn't get the target share that those other receivers do, but it's also foolish to ignore Fuller's upside as long as Deshaun Watson is throwing the ball to him. The numbers don't lie. Fuller's risk becomes less of an issue when you realize that you can get him in the middle of the 7th round. He's currently being drafted as the 33rd wide receiver off the board with an average draft position of 79.5. I know that Will Fuller outperforming wide receivers like T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper, and Brandon Cooks is absolutely not guaranteed in 2019, but the fact that it's even a possibility makes him a steal this late in drafts. Now let's look at some tight ends. The first one is Chris Godwin's teammate, O.J. Howard. This year, most people think that unless you get a top-tier tight end, you're out of luck. While it's absolutely true that the elite tight ends are all great picks, not everybody can get one. After Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and Zach Ertz, there's no clear-cut 4th guy in the same category. Well, O.J. Howard just might be as good as it gets after the top 3 guys. Howard is in the same explosive offense as Chris Godwin, with 29% of the targets available from Deshaun Jackson and Adam Humphries leaving. Some of those targets are bound to go to O.J. Howard in 2019. According to Player Profiler, Howard's 40-yard dash, speed score, and agility score are all in the 97th percentile or higher for tight ends, with the catch radius and spark score in the 88th percentile. As if that wasn't enough, Howard was Pro Football Focus's 2nd highest rated tight end in the entire NFL and the highest rated offensive player on the Buccaneers last season. Now in Bruce Arians' pass-heavy offense, with an emphasis on using elite athletes to take shots downfield, possibly no other quarterback is a better fit than Jameis Winston, who led the NFL in 300-yard games 2 seasons ago, despite only playing 11 games and dealing with shoulder injuries. Like I said earlier, Winston has led the league in air yards percentage-wise from 2016 to 2018. The man is a gunslinger. O.J. Howard is an excellent fit with both Jameis Winston and Bruce Arians, and it's easy to see that he has the potential to light the league on fire in 2019. According to Pro Football Focus, O.J. Howard scored 3.54 fantasy points per touch last season, which was the highest among all tight ends with the minimum of 30 touches. Imagine what O.J. Howard can do with these 3.54 fantasy points per touch now that 177 targets are freed up after the departures of Jackson and Humphries. O.J. Howard is poised to emerge as a top tight end in 2019, much like George Kittle did last year. If you aren't able to get one of those top-tier tight ends or O.J. Howard, I recommend waiting a few rounds and picking this next guy, Vance McDonald. Now, don't expect to get a top 3 tight end here, but McDonald is in a great position to be a solid top 10 TE. Simply put, Vance McDonald is a member of the high-powered Steelers offense with 209 targets up for grabs after the departures of Antonio Brown and Jesse James. Perhaps the most significant roster change for Vance McDonald is Jesse James, as now McDonald is the clear-cut starting tight end in Pittsburgh. Vance McDonald was a top 10 tight end in 2018, so now that he'll have more of an opportunity to stay on the field in 2019, he should have an even better season. When you consider the fact that McDonald has an average draft position of 81.6 overall as the 9th tight end off the board, it's evident that there are other options for people who don't use an early pick on a tight end. Getting a legitimate TE1 late in the 7th round is a great value, making Vance McDonald an excellent pick in 2019. Well, there you have it, everybody. Those are 6 must-draft players for the 2019 fantasy football season. Please like the video if you enjoyed it or learned something. It would really mean the world to me. I did a lot of research for this video. If you have any questions or thoughts that you want to share, be sure to comment down below and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and be sure to have yourself a good one.